Hi there. I'm here today to give you some top tips to help you get started safely with running. Maybe after lockdown you have decided that you want to start running, or you might have tried before but you're not really sure how to start, or you didn't have much success and you want to give it another try. So here I hopefully can share some really useful tips that will help you get consistency in your running. That is the key for you to enjoy it and for you to make progress and keep improving. So listen up and I hope you find them useful. Okay, tip number 1, make sure that you hydrate properly. It is getting hot at the moment in Gran Canaria, so it's really important that when you run you are already properly hydrated, and also after your running that you replace the lost fluids and even possibly lost sweat. You might lose salts through your sweat, so that's also really important. So taking on board electrolytes. It might seem like something quite complex at the moment to be saying as my first tip, but I think it's so important, as it's going to mean that you are far more comfortable when you're running, as your whole body is going to be able to function properly. And running is very demanding on the body. That's why it's hard, and that's why it's hard to start, and that's why it's hard to keep it going. So get hydrated before. You can tell this by looking at the colour of your pee. It should be very pale in colour. It should not be bright yellow or orange. So that's the best way to know about that. Okay, tip number 2, avoid eating a large meal before going for a run. I usually give my body about 2 hours to digest food before I go for a run. Particularly if I have a really heavy meal, quite a big one, then maybe I'll leave it 3 to 4 hours. It's really important just because you're using large muscles, your whole body, and that requires a lot of your oxygenated blood. So it's all going to get diverted away from the digestive system. And if you have got lots of food in there, then it's going to get very uncomfortable. Everyone's different, so you might not need 3 to 4 hours to digest a meal, but try it, work out what works for you. As I want you to feel comfortable when you run, and this is a way that definitely makes me feel more comfortable and allows me to get more consistency with my running, and then I make progress and then I enjoy it. Okay, so my third tip, if you are completely new to running, then I would look for some kind of program like a couch to 5k or couch to 10k. You can find these online and it's very, very simple to follow. The basic program is where you do a 5-minute very easy warm-up. Then you would start with something like this. This is if you are a complete beginner. 1 minute running and then 1.5 minutes walking. And you do that 10 times, and then with a 5 minutes cool down, you'd end up with a 30-minute workout. This is a really great way to start. And then quite simply, what you would do is gradually make it harder. And that is my next tip. So tip number 4 is progressive overload. So as I said before, if you start with 10 times, 1 minute running, 1.5 minutes walking, after a warm-up and then finishing with a cool down. Your next week, you might have something more like 1.5 minutes running, 1 minute walking, 10 times. So again, all you're doing is increasing very gradually the time that you are running and decreasing the time that you are resting. And the program will progress like that over time. You're going to probably feel like you can do more, but if you suddenly do a huge jump and make it really, really hard, in maybe 2 weeks' time, you'll just be exhausted. So it's not sustainable to do it that way. So trust this process, take it very, very gradual, and in the longer term, again, you'll keep consistency and you'll see great results. Okay, so tip number 5 is to keep the running easy. Keep it conversational. So when you're doing your 1 minute intervals or your 1.5 minute intervals, you should be able to have a conversation with somebody, as when you first start running, you are wanting to build your aerobic base, your aerobic capacity. So you don't need to be working at a sprint. So you're probably wondering, how hard do I run? You run easy. You keep it very comfortable and easy for you. And that's going to build up the space. And then later, you can then be looking at building in some more intensity. So a good way to check is you should be able to have a conversation with somebody. So if you are running with somebody, then can you speak easily? And then you know you're at the right level. But we're not always able to run with somebody. So what I quite often do is I will close my mouth when I'm running, and I will breathe only in and out of my nose. And if I can do that, then I know I'm working at an easy enough level. Another way you could do it is by reciting the alphabet in one breath. If you can do that, then you know you're not placing too much demand on your aerobic system and you're keeping it very easy and comfortable. So there are my top 5 tips. I feel very excited to be sharing this with you today on Global Running Day, the 3rd of June 2020. And yeah, I really hope that you can go out and get started running. Or if you've already tried and failed, then maybe my top tips give you the chance to be more successful this time, to get that consistency that you need to keep it going. And if you've got any questions, please email me, mcooper@collegialbrains.com.